I'm doing this and I think about this, I give you my top 10 teams in the league, and wins don't mean you're in it, and losses don't mean you're out of it. These are what I believe are the 10 best teams in the league, not based on this week's results, although this week's results are figured in. So here we go, the herd hierarchy.
Herd hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
I got to tell you something. Baltimore Ravens are fascinating. Does everybody realize they held Russell Wilson to 48% completion percentage? Like, that doesn't happen. And a 65 passer rating. Russell Wilson doesn't give you many of those. They're also second highest scoring team in the league. This is what's funny about them. You know, everybody's like, well, they got limitations. And they do. They're not a great vertical team. They're second in the league in scoring, folks, and I really like what I saw with their defense in the second half. Shut down the Seahawks completely. That tells me they're also well coached. Maybe their ceiling is higher than I give them credit for, but boy, did I like what I saw in the second half. Now you add Marcus Peters, who solves, at least for the time being, their one dilemma, which is they're not very good at corner. Baltimore 10.
Number 9.
I think the second smartest team in the league is Indianapolis. I think New England and Indianapolis, first of all, second in total penalties. They don't get penalized. They don't give up any sacks. They can control the ball. They don't have great running backs, but between Brissett doesn't make dumb throws. This is just a well-coached team. Now, again, why do I have them this low? Don't overreact to the win over Houston. It was one of the easier picks on the board. They were off a bye, and they were much healthier than Houston, and well-coached teams off a bye do very, very well. But I will say this. Last 16 games, they've won 13 of 16. This is a team with a brilliant GM, a great scouting department, a grown-up at quarterback, and the best young offensive line in football. And I would argue Darius Leonard may be the best young defensive player in the league, not on the 49ers. That kid is a stud.
Number 8.
Houston Texans. Now, I know they lost Indianapolis, but they were banged up on the road, and the Colts were off a bye. Neutral fielder in Houston. I think Houston's a better team. First of all, they'll have a higher ceiling. The Texans have forced a turnover in 20 straight games, a longest active streak in the NFL. They're also fourth in total offense and fourth on third down offense, which is a huge stat for me. They have an offensive line that is young and getting better by the week. Again, they had opportunities in this game, but you had a fresh, healthy Indianapolis squad. I think Houston's still going to win that division.
Number 7.
Carolina Panthers. Once again, Ron Rivera's done it, built a great defense. Let's take our eyes off Christian McCaffrey for a second, and let's pay attention to Ron Rivera. Who has the most sacks in the NFL? Not the Bears. Carolina. Who has the second most takeaways in the NFL? Not the Bears, not the Patriots, Carolina. This is what Ron Rivera does. Now, Christian McCaffrey's great, and Kyle Allen is one of the 4 undefeated quarterbacks in the NFL. But this, once again, goes to one of my primary arguments. This is one of the best coached teams in the NFL that consistently has a top 8 defense. Stop talking about Cam. The team's been winning with running games, coaching, and defense for years. Carolina 7.
Number 6.
Buffalo. Now, I've said this all year. Ceiling's low for me, but here's an interesting stat. What have I been bragging about with the Bills all year? The coaching. They are now 3-0 off a bye with Sean McDermott. Very Belichickian, very Sean Payton, Andy Reid. Buys matter more to well-coached teams. They have an 18-game streak of not allowing 400 yards. Tom Brady looked absolutely awful against them. Now, there are some limitations offensively, but I will say this. When they get into the red zone, they give you 7s, not 3s. Buffalo at 6.
Number 5.
Minnesota. Here's the reality of Minnesota. If they play a great defense, Kirk Cousins struggles. If they play an average defense, Kirk Cousins is Peyton Manning. But their overall roster is loaded. Receivers, A. Tight end, A. Running back, Dalvin Cook. Leads the NFL in scrimmage yards and rushing yards per game. He's great. They get sacks. They get after you. Their offensive line's okay. It's not a liability. It's okay. But this comes down to me. Now, be careful now. They have been 5-2 in 4 of the last 5 years. So they tend to start real hot here. Let's give them about 3 or 4 more weeks. But in terms of total roster, front office has built a little bit of a juggernaut.
Number 4.
Green Bay Packers. Again, you finally gave Aaron something to work with. Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith are the only duo in the NFL, each ranking top 10 in sacks. You got 2 great free agent linebackers, didn't have to pay a fortune for them. You went and got a safety from the Bears and drafted one. You got to give Aaron Rodgers accessories, okay? You can't make Aaron Rodgers feel like when he drives the Lambo, if he doesn't have a perfect passer rating, they lose. I think it's made Aaron a more comfortable quarterback, a happier quarterback, a guy that doesn't feel he has to ad-lib as much, meaning he'll get rid of the ball quicker. By the way, they're one of 3 NFL teams, top 10 red zone offense and top 10 red zone defense. That's a very New England Patriot stat, Packers at 4.
Number 3.
49ers defensive front is frightening. It's just first-rounders everywhere. They lead the NFC in time of possession. What does that mean? You can't sustain drives against the 49ers defense. Only the Ravens and their ball control offense have more time of possession. I mean, listen to this stat. The Niners have sacked opposing quarterbacks on nearly 11% of their dropbacks. What? What is this, like a college stat? That doesn't even make sense. It's the best defensive front in the NFL, and the defense's age, the average age is 25. So this defense is going to be salty for years.
Number 2.
Talent, IQ, coaching, New Orleans Saints. By the way, Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Brees, as predicted, no huge drop-off, although I do think Drew is better. They don't turn the ball over. 5 giveaways all season. How many teams go to a backup and they're just as efficient? You can win games, but you're never just as efficient. 5 giveaways, NFL low. 1 off the NFL low. Since Teddy Bridgewater took over, his passer rating, excellent. 4th in time of possession. So now I don't think you can keep Teddy Bridgewater after this year. You can't, because he's going to go to the free agent market and get $18 million somewhere. Chicago. But it's a great story. I'm happy for Teddy, and they got a lot of smart players, a nice mix of young and old, and a great coach.
Number 1.
It's not just off last night. They're putting up numbers now that are cartoonish. Despite their so-called offensive struggles, they lead the NFL in points per game. They added Mohamed Sanu. 4 games this year with at least 4 takeaways. And again, it's a punitive defense. There are defenses that are very good, but they don't punish you. These guys just take the ball away. So Tom Brady now is getting a shorter field. He is getting their offensive line's really their only issue, but it's not an issue when you don't have to sustain 78-yard drives and your drives are 38 and 48 yards. They allow a passer rating of 35.6 this year, which doesn't make any sense. And again, they don't have a singular elite pass rusher, but they provide on a weekly basis a very good pass rush, as Sam Darnold, who was seeing ghosts last night. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.